This is an extension of the idea that words hurt more than actions, right? To quote Chris Rock, anybody who says that words hurt more than actions has never been punched in the face.
No one has ever leveled these kind of accusations, and no one certainly has taken these types of actions. Oh, we can't play at BYU because it's so racially hostile there. I don't understand why. I do. Why the athletic director hoped that by apologizing, it would just go away and everybody would move on quickly. But that's not how things work. Once you bend that knee, they say, well, hold on, stay down there while you're on your knees. There's some business I want you to handle while you're down there. And that's what Don Staley, that's why she said, oh, we got someone bent over. And it's like, there's a gangbang going on. And so she's coming in to hop in on it. Mm-hmm. She's a low... her privilege, and only a black woman could get away with that at this time, Shemeka, in my view.
Oh, you're absolutely right. And TJ hit the nail on the head when he said she has two things in her favor. Not only is she a black woman, she's a black lesbian. And so, of course, when it comes to the alphabet mafia, they can do whatever they want to, because if you happen to say anything against them, all of their mafia fans are going to come after you. So she can say whatever she wants because she is a black woman, but also because she's a black lesbian. And that's what they're propping up in place now. The woman that's going to be against men, especially the black men, and this woman that's supposed to be the future, because the future is feminine, as though, as they say. And you have people like Stacey Abrams and Nicole Hannah-Jones that are just running with this whole "I'm a black female, hear me roar."
Shemeka,
TJ, here's one thing. Go ahead, TJ.
I was just going to add to it. I actually think it's three things. I think it's black, female, and gay. So each one of those things gives you a special privilege. She actually went out on the woman thing on her own as well. A few years back, she went right at Mark Emmert, the commissioner of the NCAA, over what she thought the amenities should have been for the women in the NCAA tournament, and how the women are not treated like the men, and it's a disgrace, and this whole unity and work together thing is just a charade. I went and looked up for 2019. These are the last figures I could find. I went and looked up the net profits for the men's NCAA tournament, March Madness, versus the women's. And this is the net revenue is much higher than this, but the net profits for the men, $864 million in just March Madness alone. For the women, they lost $2.8 million. And she thinks that's all irrelevant. So not only is she stupid, but she takes that stupidity into giving her the radical feminist position. She's now shown her black privilege, and at some point down the road, she hasn't done this quite yet, but we will see her gay privilege come out.
Listen, she's emotional, not well thought out, but I don't think she's stupid, because she's getting paid quite a bit, $3-4 million at South Carolina. And she's used her privilege, black, gay, female, the whole nine, to get that money. It's funny, in researching for this topic, when I went back and looked at the 2018 incident with Mizzou, I found a story where Frank Martin, who was the South Carolina coach at that time, he was defending Don Staley very passionately and strongly against what Mizzou was saying. And I happen to know Frank Martin. Frank Martin's a high character guy. And I read this, and it was interesting. I think it was on Monday, just this past week, Don Staley did an interview with Jamel Hill, and she took a dump on Frank Martin and was telling some story complaining about how much more success she had than Frank Martin, but his raises were better than mine, and she had to point that out to South Carolina. He went to one Final Four. I won 2 national championships, and went to 4, or at that time 1 national champion, I think, and went to 4 Final Fours or something at that time. And how dare South Carolina pay him more than me? And again, that sort of logic works in this environment where no one can look at, well, hold on, he's competing in a tournament with a history that's nearly 100 years old. The competition is greater. There's only about 4 or 5 women's team every year that have any chance of winning a national championship, and it's really just 1 or 2 most years. And so she's walking up and climbing up a far easier hill than Frank Martin or any man's coach at a Power 5, but she's used all that logic and the fact that everyone's afraid to challenge her, because if you challenge her, either you're racist, sexist, or homophobic. And so her logic never gets challenged. She's bullied South Carolina into paying her far more than what she's actually worth. And I know she's had some success, but she's not worth that just based on the math and the money they're generating. And I'm happy that there's some politicians in South Carolina that are asking like real questions, because what is the standard though? Literally, we're going to cancel games because at a volleyball match that you weren't at, no one was at, it's televised, there's no proof. At a volleyball match, something happened, and therefore I can't play at BYU. And based off of all the research I could see, based off of what her comments were, I think this past weekend, she made this decision without consulting anybody.
Wow.
She didn't consult the athletic director. She didn't consult it. She woke up and said, this is what I want to do. And the athletic director's so afraid of her, he's not going to challenge her, because, again, if you challenge her, you're racist, sexist, or homophobic.
So she's making $3 or $4 million
Yeah.
as the. Okay, so I'm gonna go get me a pair of slacks, a button-up shirt, and some loafers, and pull my hair back to the back and teach people how to do a better jump shot, because my goodness,
Yeah.
I'm in the wrong line of business.
The audacity, though, and TJ, Gary Pinkel had a lot of success at Mizzou. We've seen a lot of male coaches have a lot of success, and they get power. But most of these coaches, they're going to consult their athletic director before making a decision of this. We're canceling it. Someone has to fix that. Someone has to schedule it. This was their home opener, South Carolina. They just won a national championship. Mm-hmm. And again, maybe it's not a hard problem to fix, but someone has to fix it. And you don't just get to take this kind of dump on BYU without consulting the other interested, concerned, accountable partners that you're allegedly working with. But to me, South Carolina, women's college sports, they've created Frankenstein, and eventually Don Staley's going to turn on her boss and anybody else that she feels gets in her way of how much money she thinks she deserves.
Like I said, she hit the oppression trifecta. And at this point, she's invincible until somebody tells her otherwise. There's another piece of this that I think is, we're talking about BYU. We're talking about, some of the stupidity and how people have allowed her to just run rampant and do whatever she wants. But, this is not a politically winning message, but I think it should be. It's what she's saying here, and based on what you gave us with comparing it to Memphis, this is an extension of the idea that words hurt more than actions, right? To quote Chris Rock, anybody who says that words hurt more than actions has never been punched in the face, right? And so she said, and you quoted this in your article, I just wanted to make sure our players didn't have to endure that, because if something happened of that manner, I don't have the words to comfort them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to rescue them away from ever having anything uncomfortable said to them. The true message, the message that would prepare 20-year-olds to go out into the world is, how about the world is hard and people will not always treat you with the respect that you should be treated with, okay? Your job is to overcome and to have mental toughness and to fight through. You will be stronger for it. It's an opportunity to develop your character while other people are showing their lack of character, right? And so Every environment that's difficult is an opportunity for you to grow. If anything happens, I've got your back here, and I will do my part to make sure you're protected. But you worry about you. Don't worry about somebody who happens to be in the crowd who's revealing their lack of character. That's what should have been said. And so what she's done is she's put this little protection bubble around these girls who never think they have to hear anything that makes them uncomfortable. And again, not a great word, not something that people should hear, and we should all do our part to stomp that out. But your job is to say, let me show you how to deal with that, not how to make sure you never have to deal with that, because I can't do that your whole life.